suggested in the workshop with the sheriff's budget
Okay.
was that we do something to make it up until we see if the levy passes and is funded.
Okay. I know this has been difficult. It's been really difficult.
I have a lot of questions.
But, well, just one of the things, from yesterday's meeting, they talked about us defunding. Mm-hmm. Last year we gave the sheriff's department in there an extra 1.1 million. We gave, we split interest. We gave the public defense, and then we also gave over an increased levy amount of $222,000. So, and we're at the time now is you guys cut your budget, but we're at another time now is we're looking to push it on further. And so, this board has really been able to work through this. We've tried, we've given up funds, we've given up, and pushed funds towards this, and now we're at a point where we're going to have the public decide whether they want to levy, and we've got to fund that until if the public decides to levy it, we need to fund it until we get the levy money, and the funding is $292,000, correct?
That's what Timmy just suggested.
That's where we were at yesterday.
And what about do you know anything about the 25% carryover? Because I know that there's been this consistency of floating.
I don't know what the total is for that 25% carryover to get you through that first 3 months of the year before taxes start coming in.
Okay. And then you guys came to us wanting, you need 3 more cars. So that's another additional on top of that, if it were to be approved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to look at everything as a whole. And I've been trying to piece this whole thing together since I got here. Mm-hmm. From meeting minutes from old commissioners. And I see what happened. The pay matrix was passed, but nobody thought about the future of it. And that was a problem. And then you had the Justice Fund also created at the same time, like you kind of explained yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just started this mess. And I understand that. But I'm trying to piece it together myself. And I know last year it was brought up, and I know that you guys, and I'm not trying to put you on blast, mm-hmm. but I've read the audit. Somebody finally said, hey, read the audit on the clerks. And I read it. And I read the findings. That was August of last year. I don't know if anybody addressed it. I don't know if you guys all met. I don't know. I sent them an email. Mm-hmm. I asked both of them. And I got no response. If it would have been me, I would have sat down with you guys and we would have addressed it last year. So it's a little frustrating when I read and I go back through mm-hmm. the history of the whole thing, and I'm not putting all the blame on these commissioners. It was the old commissioners, and even, Mike didn't think about the future either. And that is a problem with this pay matrix. Mm-hmm. It really is. I have some questions, and I hope everybody's asking these questions. If it doesn't pass, then what? If the levy does not pass, then what? What's our future? We've really got to look at that. Everybody has to look at that. If it does pass and the funding is still not enough, then what? That's another good question. Has anybody really sat down and did all the math, counting in cars and, have we looked at that? I haven't. Mm-hmm. I haven't had time, but that's something else, that everybody needs to look at.
We've been finding, that's one of the biggest problems is we have been pushing money towards it. last year, like I said, our clerk noted that we put $1,144,061 towards the justice fund. And part of that was cash given, interest splitting, public defense, and then we have a 2024, 2025, I believe, might have been another public defense.
I feel like that had with the levy. So
With the
instead of
levy.
taking that levy amount away,
And
because the public defense went to the state, the levy amount stayed, so we didn't lower.
so the levy amount, we kept it in the justice fund.
Right.
And then we also put grant funds of $260,000 towards it last year. And so we've been funding this, and now we're at a point where we can't fund it. That's why, you're looking at the levy. So that's what we got to look at is how are we going to, are we going to do another 200 and some thousand in grant funding again this year? And how should we restructure that? If the levy doesn't pass, we'll kick the can down the road again.
Well, and here's the issue. I mean, we just keep sticking a Band-Aid on everything. And not just here. I mean, there's some other areas I see too where there's Band-Aids, and we need to really have some solutions, to the issue. And I know you're getting the wage study. And the only thing that I see that's good that's going to come from it is the fact that maybe we can get everybody as a county as a whole on one pay matrix. Because that really does cause a lot of inefficiencies with the county budget, having all these different pay matrices, so, but, I mean, I am frustrated. I'm frustrated because it wasn't my mess to step into.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
honestly,
been hard.
and now I'm in it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the kind of what we stepped into.
And it should have been addressed. And I feel it should have been addressed last year when you got the audit back that was paid for. And like I said, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but if I would have got that was the first thing I would have done. I would have called the meeting and said, all right, let's sit down and let's discuss this. The problem is the funds that we do have remaining, some of it's earmarked. I keep thinking about that roof. I think legalities all the time, and I think liabilities. And we've got to get that roof.
Yeah, I do think the roof is going to be a lot cheaper than we thought from just what we're getting.
And then the
estimates
plumbing.
for repairs.
And the plumbing as
And
well.
the
I mean,
plumbing.
we gotta
The plumbing
address
is going to be a
Yeah.
major ongoing
Yeah.
expense for a while.
But I think we need to, the board did direct that we get it all done at once, and we might as well have it done all at once. So,
I think we're to that point that trying to get it done a little bit at a time isn't working. And because by the time we fix something else is breaking. So definitely just.
And that's what I'm getting at, because I really do think, legalities, liabilities. I know what it's like over there. I know how.
Yeah.
You'll
If we had to
get
replace
some-
the roof, that was going to be like $350,000.
Yeah.
But he came in and said overall the roof's in decent shape. There's just a few bad spots where it's leaking through that it would probably be repaired. So we got our second bid coming. It's hard to get people to come here to bid on it with actually get them to come
Right,
look at it.
because of the flat.
They just want to be like, here's our hourly rate.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. And then, I mean, honestly, we never know what could happen next. And we don't have that much sitting there. I mean, if you think about it, we really don't.
and especially with the cuts in the state and the federal.
And the roads and that's scary too. I mean, none of us can see the future on the unforeseen emergencies that could take place, So I stepped into a messy year.
If you don't mind me asking, because we asked quite a few times, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what that number was. So the auditor, because each department comes and says, what's our number? Are we okay with our department and so on, right? and the auditor said we were great. I'm not saying we were great. Could have been a misunderstanding.
This
But
is a special audit.
This is the
So
special
so
audit.
what was the number that was? Because I've never heard a number that we're actually officially short last year, as a county.
It is findings and analysis, so this is what
This
they
is our
paid
special
for.
auditor. This isn't our regular audit.
Well, I trust you.
It's their
Isaac. What's
it's their deep audit.
So does
It's
it
a
have
deep
like
audit.
a number that we're short as a county?
No. So basically, but it does describe what happened
What
with
happened
the pay matrix.
and what happened with the justice
Yeah.
fund.
Okay. All right. Maybe I can. We have time after or something.
So now, we'll get back on task on
Yeah.
hand, as we need to figure out how we're going to fund this and going forward. And we need to make that decision tomorrow. We're thinking lettuce funding would be the only way to pull this
And-
back.
I have another suggestion. Can we do a donation line too for the justice fund? I mean, I know we can.
Mhm.
Are you willing to add a donation line to the justice fund? Have the clerk.
Can you explain how that was?
I thought we did
I don't think
because
it's
we
in
got
the
donations
line.
for like the.
Because
I don't think
I've
we're-
seen, I
no.
started researching on that because
Mhm.
there's a lot of sheriff's departments facing the same thing.
Mhm.
I mean, Oregon's getting hit hard right now.
Mhm.
But I have seen adopt a cop, is kind of one of the themes. That's another
So
avenue.
specifically donations from the community.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to donate.
Mhm.
We've got somebody from the roads department that's going to
Mhm.
donate a whole position this year.
So, I mean, that's just another thing that I think should at least be added
Yeah.
to.
I don't know
Yeah.
if there's an
To-
actual line there, but we've
Yeah.
had donations in the past.
I know we can.
And it'd have to go through the clerk.
Yep, it'd have to go through the clerk, but I think that would be
Mhm.
something good too. There's a lot of people that are passionate about the sheriff's department. I mean, we all are.
Mhm.
So, I could see donations coming in for that too, that can help.
Have you come across any articles or anything on that? Or?
I
If you
just
have-
researched
Okay, if you have
sheriff's department donations. I saw one that was adopt a cop. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, So
if you have anything that you could send me, that would be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, I will for sure. But that's just another thing that I thought maybe should be added.
There's different ideas that we can discuss for tomorrow on, whether we fund a budget as it is, as the clerk has set forth, and if the levy goes through, we reopen the budget and fund the sheriff's department for the rest of the year, injecting the $292,000 in it. Or we inject it now. I think that's the decision we need to make tomorrow. So we're looking at, lettuce or LATCF funding. So I think that's, two options that we have that we can use. Does anybody, other commissioner, have any ideas?
Well, you named the two primary ones, but we could inject it now, or we could inject, or tomorrow, if you want, or we could wait and see if the levy passes and what the voters think.
Okay. Does our clerk have any?
So.
Want to come
this is
sit at the
gonna-
table for a minute?
I just trying to wrap my head around it. It goes to vote in November,
Mm-hmm.
and if it passes, they'll start receiving money the following June or the following January.
It'd be the following January, so we'd have to
January
inject 292,000 in.
So this whole entire year,
That's right. If the levy passes, we inject the money. If it doesn't pass, we don't inject the money. That's our or we inject the money. We'll have to make that decision tomorrow.
Well, you wouldn't have to eject the money because this whole fiscal year won't have anything to, you won't have to open the budget. You're either gonna fund it or you're not, because there's not gonna be any levy monies
Until January.
until January
27.
27.
But we would have to fund it as it is right now with $292,000, inject those funds in so that it goes forward as a department
Right.
instead of cutting
Okay,
it and then
I'm
going
sorry, I
forward.
misunderstood. I thought you were talking about pulling it out.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Just double checking the math. Right now, Madam Clerk, I think your recommendation was $5,055,265. Is that still inaccurate?
Can you say that number one more time?
Yes.
$5,055,265 was the clerk's recommended. And the Sheriff's Department, if I have it right from our last workshop, you had requested $5,348,170, which is $172,000 less than last year. The clerk's number is $465,000 less than last year. So both ways we are still responding and cutting back on spending in the Sheriff's Department. I think that's gotten lost in the discussion a little bit. None of these discussions are around funding it to what it was last year.
Yeah. Or the year before.
Or the year before.
We've had to come up with, some funding for the years before and last year in order to make it work out. So we're not, so this year we're looking at still coming forward with funding and then figuring out how we're gonna, if the levy passes or not. Right? That's what.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if we go with the clerk's recommendation, which is what everything else is based, I mean, the budget's based on that recommendation right now. Those are the numbers in the budget. Then really we have to decide if we're going to cut the Sheriff's Department the total 465, or we're going to make some of it up with grant money to reduce the severity of the drop.
Where do you come up with 465?
The clerk's current recommendation is about $465,000 less than last year.
Okay.
On the budget, going by those numbers. And we've all discussed the need for cuts. And so I just want to point out, either way, we are trimming their budget. I just,
exactly.
At what point is it too much?
Yeah.
That they can't do their job.
So you're saying the 292,000 wouldn't be enough?
No, I'm saying that if we did 292, the sheriff will still be running about 172,000 less than last year.
Okay.
So we are still trimming their budget either way. I just think it's important to bring that back into the discussion. Okay.
If you guys don't agree to it, it'll be like a $500,000 cut.
I think it's also important that we continue to address what has transpired from the beginning to now, too. I think that it's important we all come together and start thinking
how we're going to make this work. And, this has been the problem from the start. With the Justice Fund being created, we haven't, the first year, we had with our first clerk, we had a huge deficit, we thought. And then our clerk from the year after that came in and found that there wasn't really a deficit for the whole county. But then, the Justice Fund has just been, I don't think it was properly funded in the first. And I
because I did find meeting minutes and from last year. And it says, Commissioner Zimmerman said when Justice Fund was created, it was underfunded by $500,000. There's a shortfall of $350,000 from last year. But they're being, yeah. So, I mean, I found that little
Mhm.
piece. I mean, I've just been trying to piece everything together.
And it's hard to piece
It
together
is
because
very
we've-
hard to piece together.
because we didn't really have a starting point when we came in.
Yeah, one thing I just want to bring forward again, just think about, is we have been pretty well under budget every
Yep.
year. We're projecting, just looking at where we're at spending wise right now, and being conservative, we'll be $200,000 to $300,000 under budget again. Last year we were like 400 and some thousand, but every time we trim, it's a little harder to go under that budget with what we have.
I think it's hard too with that 25%.
Yeah.
You know, to remember that 25%.
Well, our 25% is almost not even achievable hardly. It's that's enough.
And that hasn't been achievable.
So then once you hit January, you know, you're going back on that, yeah.
It's like, and then anytime we've had money left over, it's just been put right back into the budget, and then other revenues have been held back. So we've never been able to get ahead because we've never been, even when we do underspend, that money is just put back in, and then more revenues are held back in that same amount. So we've never been able to build up cash.
I think that's between the 20, because when cash is carried over, that's part of your 25%, correct? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
It should be, but it was never used that way. The last 3 to 4 years, it's just been put into the budget, and then we're only funded the difference.
Well, because you fund off of you start funding with your cash for all your, and your levies and all of your projected. You do your sub income, which was like the 1.5, I think you guys were at, and then you have the taxes, and then you bring over your cash, your fund balance into that.
And everything that's in the justice fund stays in the justice fund.
Correct.
It doesn't go back and forth.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it has to stay in their fund.
Would you agree, Madam Clerk, that this will be a forever problem? Because I'm not aware of any sheriff's office that you said put, and this isn't, you said put 1.1 million in or whatever figures. We will always put money into a police department because we aren't revenue producers. But there is some revenue that comes with an office, but no sheriff's office is funded by revenue that I know of fully. So there always will be that injection.
Right. Yes, I mean, you're always going.
Well, the justice fund, and the other sheriff's department, they fund them. They're not injected by the current expense from the other counties.
I apologize. What I meant was that it's not revenue. For example, we bill for the jail, right? Let's say 600,000+ a year. It's not revenue we can produce. It's taxes that's dedicated for a certain funded. That's the difference. Is the only clarification I wanted to make.
Yeah, it's just taxes. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Sure. Right. Yep.
And then, I'd like to note that 500,000 less in taxes is on the L2 towards the sheriff's office.
Okay, ask that question again, please.
The $500,000 less on the L2 for the sheriff's office in taxes.
Yes, it is. I don't have what last year's was. Was it? You were at 3.7. Last year was 65 or 67%.
And I'm just curious, as we cut back, and where's that money going that was dedicated to us last year? What's it being used for?
Well, it's not necessarily dedicated.
Well, it was this year, but
It was right. That
But I
I think it was
understand what
like
you're saying.
I think 3.7. So current expense went up. Last year, I believe we were at 433,000. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on the exact numbers. This year, we're levying for 1,039,000.
And what does current expense have under it?
Current expense has.
What's it cover?
Current expense has the assessor, the treasurer,
Prosecutor.
Prosecutor.
prosecutor, courts, planning and zoning,
District court.
veterans,
Does district court have their own
disaster
fund?
services, elections, court clerks. Yeah.
And they're
Hey,
all mandated too. And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that's here now has to be here. There's no leaning it. There's no cutting more back.
No, I know. If we didn't have to operate 24/7, we could probably cut our budget down by a couple $1 million. But we have to operate 24/7, so it's a huge difference in the hours we have to provide to the community.
Right.
We have to
but
provide.
You have to have an assessor. You have to have a
I know.
treasurer. You have to have a clerk. You have to have a board of 3. And I don't take the medical benefits, nor the VBA, because that's not why I ran. I did not run for self-interest. So, to save the county some money.
Yeah, and then 2 years ago the budget was 6.1 million, and then literally 600,000 got cut out with the
What I'm saying
almost
is
700,
last
but
year,
that went into the current expense.
We
The
gave
current
you-
expense went up 600,000.
but we funded it last year. We funded your budget last year by $1.1 million more than what the Justice Fund was making. And we gave cash, we gave interest, we gave over the public defense, the public defenders. We increased your levy. We even put
What do you mean gave the
$260,000.
public defense? We didn't.
Well, public defense, we moved that over because public defense isn't part of the sheriff's office.
No,
part
it's
of
still in the
Justice
Justice Fund.
But we
It
gave you
is.
that levy.
And they,
So we haven't, the thing is we don't have any more to set forward. And, we're not defunding. We just don't have the money. Last year we were able to put forth $1.1 million from what our clerk's note said into your budget. And we can't do that this year. And that's where we're at. And the year before we did the same thing. It's like I said, was not properly funded. And I don't know what, how we move forward. You guys, now you're looking at a grant or a levy. And the levy, to tell you, the levy is supposed to be spot on. I've never seen a budget yet. You don't levy money that you don't have a budget for and you can't spend. You never overtax the people. It has to be on the nose. That's a justice fund levy. It can't be shared with the roads department. It has to be justice only.
So with that, to the reason that dollar value will work for sure, and Madam Clerk's used this technique many times. Let's say the levy is over by 100,000, she can then take her administrative fee of that. I'm just using an arbitrary number. So we are not planning in any way, shape, or form of just keeping this levy as a slush fund or any other.
No, but what I'm saying is the board needs to be apprised of how you came up with that $1 million and how you purport to spend that. And we have not had any of that information. And that needs to be done because that's something the state controller is going to ask. Is anything further?
I guess just one thing on the county as a whole problem. I think this keeps being a justice fund versus the regular, and we've already shown money can be moved back and forth. I'm not even arguing the justification for moving back and forth because one agency does need it, one agency doesn't, and so on and so forth. If you can help me understand, last year my understanding was when Peggy pitched the $120,000 extra in surplus, it was as a county as a whole we were fine, and then there was $120,000 in excess. And I'm not arguing the raises. I'm not saying that they were left behind. Maybe they were left behind. But at that point, I guess our understanding was the county was not just fine, there was $120,000 extra. Is that not the case, or now we find ourselves in a different situation than we did 4 or 5 months ago?
Do you have an answer for that, Clerk?
I don't have an answer. One of the reasons that there was that what did we call it last year? Step and grade or step and grade
The raises, that's what I mentioned.
is because there was such a vast difference that we were trying to fill that gap. So we didn't have, because we have all of these matrices out there, these approved matrices, and we shouldn't. So we were trying to get everybody more leveled up because we thought at that time we would have the wage study and benefits completed, and then that company backed out. So we were trying to do the four work first.
Well, and please don't take this me as arguing against those raises in any way, shape, or form. I was just saying at that point, from our understanding, was everyone was briefed, the county was not only balanced as a whole, there was 120,000 extra.
But that's, one of the things that we're kind of getting outside of our scope of what we
That's fair.
had the meeting for.
Okay.
So, so tomorrow, that's what we're going to have to decide on how this is going to work going forward. And it's going to be a hard decision that we're going to have to make. So we're looking at LATCF funding is what the board's going to be looking at. And I know we haven't had Colleen in here, but there is funds in there. So
Yeah,
Anything further?
I have just one more statement just to think about that. The clerk stating that we have funding for a level that's like 4 to 5 years in the past is the current what we have for funding for the Justice Fund. And meanwhile, you have all these other entities that have all went up in there, what they're spending and what they're doing, and you're trying to. I'm not saying you're trying to, but the clerk is saying that the funding isn't there for us from 5 years ago. Where did all that money go? What happened to it? We got rid of the public defense. We got rid of a lot of stuff, and definitely none of it went to us as we're getting cut back 4 to 5 years in the past. So just something to think about.
And that's one of the things that, like I said, the Justice Fund going forward from then, it was not 100%
but we were funded back then
because you were given
for that
cash.
amount.
You were given cash increases like
That-
we did last year.
No, before that.
Yeah, I don't. That was when Tammy was here, and I'm not. So
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you for all you guys do.
Mhm.
And I'd just like to throw that thank you out to you.
I think one of the things is with that matrix, I don't think anybody realized what the increase every year was going to be for that new matrix. Eventually, when everybody tops out, then it would be steady. But like this year, just in the matrix, it's like $36,000.
On the pay bumps? Well, I
Yes.
think I sent one to Timmy that was a major mistake that was,
It's
would be-
still the same.
be,
It's still gonna go in the same lens. I just
yeah, but that goes to
you know,
longevity.
had-
You're talking,
right.
So
I just skipped the little extra number there in the middle, but it's still at the end. It's gonna go
bottom line.
be the same.
So it's like 36,000 something at 240 something. I don't know exactly, but I just don't think I don't think that was thought through. Because if you're going
Maybe
to
we should have do another meeting and explaining it more of how it went wrong.
it was actually very thought through and with a goal in mind of retaining
No, I mean,
people,
I'm not talking
that
about
matrix.
about where we're off and how that works.
Yeah, that would be great to have a meeting like that.
And then we can discuss that further, because really, we're only
It would help me.
talking about the levy increase and the sheriff on how we're gonna do that, and we kind of moved off of
I
discussion. So
apologize. That was me. I apologize.
It's easy to do. There's so many parts to it.
I think that I think Commissioner Kells, you nailed it. on the head. That moving forward, I think one of the things that we haven't really accomplished as the community leaders is developing like a 5-year plan on how we're going to keep our county funded, or in a sense, you know, what are the priorities and how are we going to find funding for them. Talking to employees, I hear a lot of feedback. You know, they're really paying attention to all the meetings, and you know, they hear a lot of antagonistic language, mostly from citizens. And you know, I was talking to the captain this morning and the undersheriff, and we were just chatting about kind of the state of the union, in essence, the morale. And you know, I think that they, and I'm talking the county as a whole, county workers as a whole, you know, they sacrifice a lot and they work their fingers to the bone for this community. And actually, Captain Green brought it up that the one thing that they haven't really heard is a thank you, where they're just getting kind of beaten down on the regular. And I think that by getting a plan together, at least it gives them some sort of focus for the future, because right now they're living in limbo and they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen with their jobs. They don't know what's going to happen if they are even going to be able to stay working here financially. You know, the whole, you know, this does kind of do with the levy, but when the Justice Fund was created, you know, I think that there was a lot of lack of knowledge on that end, just even creating it. But I don't know, I feel like, you know, I have a job to fight for the community and keeping them safe, and I have a job to fight for our employees. And the idea of the pay matrix was to save money, essentially, by not having to hire people on a regular basis, because it's so expensive. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I just I think we do need to show more appreciation to our county employees, and I think it would really help if we started having workshops on trying to plan out what's going to be happening in the future.
Okay. I agree with that.
Okay. All right.
So you stole my thunder. Thanks for that.
Public comment. Okay, we did 2 minutes.
Well, first I'll
Sydney.
say I'm Robin
Sydney,
Hack,
please join.
and I was married to a city policeman and then a sheriff, and then he became undersheriff for 30 years. So I have a lot of belief in the sheriff's office and stuff, but I believe there's a lot of things going wrong. We are letting officers go home. No, officers are on duty 24 hours. They're on call. I had to live in Spokane to sell my house. He had to live in Ponderay County for the 5 full days. He didn't say it Monday through Friday. Monday he would start at 7. Saturday he'd get off at 7. We could only see him if we went up there, except for weekends. And you're letting these guys go home, and they shouldn't be. They should have a contract after they get their training and their hours that they can go to other places. We chose to stay in Ponderay County because he was made to stay there, and we fell in love with it. And so he went up to be undersheriff. And I believe that is a wrong thing that we're doing here. You're saying we need officers for 24 hours. Yeah, we do. But a lot of them are on call at the end of their daytime hours, nights, whatever. Then functions, I worked under the freeway, didn't see one. And when he was undersheriff, we hardly saw him. My son was just here. And he said, Dad was always gone when he was undersheriff. And I, being the undersheriff's wife, was allowed to go in the car when there were special functions going on. because Monterey County's big too. And we would go. He would be the officer walking around with me, or the sheriff would be. I just think there's so many ways that it could be addressed and stuff. I don't see you guys. I mean, the sheriff is the sheriff, and in the past we have had problems where they've gone to school, been not here, and I feel they're part of the community. They have to be working, and we need to see them. And the officers have to live here to maybe fall in love with this county, which is great. So I think if they need to sign a contract when they are brought over here to make their extra hours and their schooling to go to Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls.
Well,
So,
Robin, I'm
Thank you very
definitely
much.
willing to meet with you and talk about ideas that you have, or, just have that
well, I just
conversation.
wonder how you're gonna cut. We don't know this levy is gonna go through. We
Right.
do not know.
Thank you. None? None? Nothing? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming, and we'll revisit this tomorrow. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.